You gotta be so aware of what your face is doing at all times, what it's saying, what it's attempting to communicate by what it's saying. You have to have it sort of a camcorder in your mind that can see your facial structure, your countenance, or your face personality as you're doing it. Like a good actor, you have to know yourself in cam action. That's the appearance, that's the personality. He's got to do a very tight, very complete analysis of your phenotype, your temperament, your continence. That's your appearance to the other in a lived situation, in confrontation and encounter in the now, in the arena, with all the pressures, the confusions, the resistances, the consequences and stakes. You have to know yourself. You have to ask yourself, where am I vulnerable? How am I vulnerable? What am I saying? What am I doing? You have to be the experience. You have to want the experience, good or bad, in order to get accurate data about what you're saying and doing right here and right now, and how you're saying and doing it. That's everything. The sound of your voice. What I'm saying is, you've got to know how to listen to yourself in action, social action. It's worthless. The observations, the conclusions are worthless if they're not in the arena of confrontation and encounter with something to lose. Consequence, real world consequence. You have to know how to memorialize what happened, get a good, accurate eye-mind recording of what happened and report accurately on it. Know when you're embellishing, when you're justifying, when you're alibiying, when you're making an excuse. Treat failure and success exactly the same way as an objective root piece of data fact. Know how to do the Moscow step back, where you look at the big picture and peruse as if you were a scientist, looking at yourself as a cold, objective fact from an uncaring, unsentimental report that has no stake in the outcome one way or another. Treats good, bad, indifferently. All as part of the brute data. All as part of the brute facts. What's the report? What's the report? I'm interested only in the facts. Make a long story short. Will you talk in terms of your experience here and now? Will you quit gossiping about yourself? Can you stay in the now? Can you identify very clearly what's locating you in the now? And stay there with credibility. Just report on everything that's going on in the now. That's the happening. We'll worry about the past and the future when we go over the facts, when we take a position, an interpretation, a framing of what happened and give our account. Then we'll bring in the past, and we'll bring in the future, and we'll bring in the present, and we'll bring in a position and interpretation of what happened. Then we'll talk about why it happened, and we'll give our opinion, remembering it's all opinion. It's all subject to a good interrogation and self-prosecution. Do it to you, or the other will do it to you. You be the first to do it. You be the first to call it on yourself. You be very objective and realistic with what you have to learn how to do it. And you learn how, that's called assessing your performance in the present as you're doing it, with no stake in the outcome one way or another. You could care less how it comes out. Living in a pure existence. Later on, as we recall what happened, what went wrong, we're going to take a position. Then we're going to apply the uncontested versions of judgment, jealousy, wishful thinking, dream thinking, etc., under the full realization that all of this is just conjecture. To guess about what happened, it has to be put in a probative form to test it out, to see how your account holds out under a lot of pressure. And all that taken together in one sticky mess or mass is who you are. What else could it be unless you invented it? The way you give an account of yourself tells me about your temperament, your continence, your phenotype, your being in the world. It tells me about the engagement. It tells me about the contest. It tells me about the frame of reference you're using to do the evaluation. That's why a very full, unrelenting self-assessment must always be presented in a public way with the words, with the positions. So take a position on it. What does all this mean? And apply the method. Ought I to want this? Judge your judgments. The standard is you. What other standard would make any sense? And then when you give a public account, you're fighting to make sense out of the past, out of what you said and did. And that sets the projects or the hope or the template for the future. As you come up with a template to enter the arena in the hopes of being effective. What else could you expect unless you invented it? We're not talking about invention here. We're talking about real world happenings, properly reported on.